Ash's expression is one of shock as he meets Bede's eyes, asking how he could have possibly stolen everything from the boy, when before today he never even met him. Coldly, Bede scowls that before Ash came along, he was Chairman Rose's protege, and is picked to surpass Leon. But ever since he met the Cantonian boy, the Chairman's barely had any time for him, even going so far as to revoke his sponsorship, so now he can't even take the gym challenge. Though Ash feels that this is hardly his fault since he didn't make Chairman Rose abandon this kid, he can see how much he's hurting, and so apologizes for his troubles, offering to talk to the Chairman on his behalf if he'd like. However, this only seems to anger Bede, as he snarls that talk's cheap. If Ash wants to help him, then stop stalling and start their battle, since once he beats the Alolan champ, Chairman Rose will have no choice but to see he's the best, and renew his sponsorship. Shaking his head, Ash replies that while he'd love to battle, all his Pokemon are pretty worn out, so he'll have to take a rain check. But when he takes another step towards the door, Bede blocks him again, scowling that he wasn't asking, and that Ash isn't leaving until he's met his challenge. Bluntly, Bede tells the boy that he's being irrational and unreasonable, while Raihan urges Leon to step in, since if the kid respects the chairman so much, he'll surely hold the champion in similar regard. However, with a grin, Leon declines, saying that as a matter of fact, he'd enjoy watching Ash face off with Rose's former protege, a claim which makes Raihan say that of course his rival would be excited by the prospect of a battle at a time like this. Thankfully, Opal has a more practical solution, scolding Bede that if he's going to insist on battling, he should at least fetch Ash one of the cakes topped with max honey, so his Pokemon can be in fighting shape. Begrudgingly, Bede concedes that that is fair, eyeing Ash suspiciously as he orders him not to move before departing the battlefield. Curiously, Ash asks what cake has to do with anything, but Opal slyly replies that honey collected from a Dynamax Vespiquen, better known as Max Honey, has the power to bring a Pokemon back to full health, so this will at least give Ash a fighting chance. However, Ash should know that since the honey is so rare, she's only parting with one of her cakes, meaning Ash will have to choose which of his Pokemon he's going to heal up for this battle. Ash weighs his options carefully in the time it takes Bede to return with the cake. Then when the surly boy hands it to him, he offers it to Pikachu, asking if the electro type is rare to help him out. As soon as he has eaten a single mouthful, Pikachu's energy seems to return, with him nodding emphatically then downing the rest of the cake. Once this is done, Opal takes Bede's place in the referee area, instructing the boys to get into position and informing them that this will be a one-on-one, a deal both agree to as they bring out their Pokemon, Pikachu for Ash and Hatterene for Bede. Technically being the challenger, Bede is given the first move, and showing no mercy, he has Hatterene use Dazzling Gleam to blind Pikachu, before coming in for a follow-up slap with its head tentacle that sends the electric rodent flying. Hoping to get a hat trick, Bede next has Hatterene use Mystical Fire, but as the ringed beam of fire shoots up at Pikachu, the Cantonian starter is able to regain his sight and dodge in midair. Now it is time for a counterattack, and when Ash calls for a Thunderbolt, Pikachu responds with Zeal, blasting Hatterene, then initiating a combo move of his own as he does a somersault in midair before driving a diagonal Iron Tail into the opposing Pokemon's throat. Being part Fairy type, this steel move is super effective, causing the so-called silent Pokemon to shriek in pain as it's knocked back. Scowling, Bede tells his partner to use Psychic, and at once, Hatterene's eyes glow blue, with a similar blue aura surrounding Pikachu. In this state, he is unable to move, and on Bede's command, the little electro type is thrown backwards towards the stadium wall. However, Ash and Pikachu are far too resourceful to fall for such a mundane trick, with Pikachu launching an electro web behind himself to act as a trampoline, so instead of landing hard against the wall, he bounces back, and delivers a momentum-powered Iron Tail uppercut to Hatterene's chin. This is enough to knock the Psychic Fairy off its feet, and as it lands on its back with a thump, Leon reminds the Platinum-haired youth that Pikachu is the Pokemon who defeated the legendary Tapu Koko at the Manalo conference, as well as managed to beat his Mr. Rhyme, so it's no slouch. Even still, Bede refused to concede that he lost, screaming petulantly at Hatterene to get up, but when Opal calls the match for Ash, the Galarian boy falls to his knees, fuming that it's not fair, and that he won't accept this outcome. Walking over to his opponent, Ash tells him that it's alright, and that he lost tons of times to get where he is now. This does nothing to calm Bede, causing Bede to tactlessly, but not unfairly, speculate that maybe Chairman Rose gave up on this guy because unlike him, Ash doesn't throw a childish tantrum whenever things don't go his way. This earns the girl a glare from Bede, though she seems unbothered, telling Ash and Raihan they ought to get going, as Ash's Pokemon still need to be healed. Nodding, Ash and Raihan follow her as she starts heading out the door, while giving their goodbyes to Leon, Opal, and Bede. In particular, Raihan promises to see Leon again soon, while Ash smiles that if Bede would ever like to challenge him again, he'd be happy to accept. After this, the trio step into the Ballanlayer Pokemon Center, where as stated, Ash's Pokemon are healed for the next leg of their journey. Unfortunately, this is not a peaceful reprieve, as while they wait, they come across a pair of familiar but unwelcome faces, Clara and Avery. In her sickly sweet tone, Clara runs up to Raihan, gushing that she missed him, as if their last encounter did not happen, while with a beleaguered nod, Avery acknowledges Ash and B, with the pair returning the gesture. On closer inspection, it is clear that neither Clara nor Avery are in the best condition, seemingly having been roughed up, and when Raihan inquires about this, Clara beams that he's such a good boyfriend to be concerned about her. Patiently, Raihan reminds the girl that, like he told her last time, he is not her boyfriend, nor does he have any interest in becoming such, before asking the same question to Avery. A little more helpfully, the glasses-clad boy explains that they were making their way out of Glenwood Tangle when they were attacked by a scary vine monster, which forced them to turn back. So, now they're trapped here. This gives our heroes pause, as while they don't like this duo, they can't just let travelers be attacked, and so with a sigh, Raihan tells the siblings to lead them to this supposed monster. A short while later, the five-man band are trekking through the dense foliage, with Avery leading the way, while Clara hangs back to speak with Raihan. Still desperate to cash in on the Dragon Master's social media clout, she attempts to convince him that this is a romantic stroll through the forest, though when he won't even entertain the notion, she scowls that he's being stupid, since she's way cuter than this girlfriend he claims to have. After all, how pretty can she be if Raihan won't even post a picture of her? At this jab, a brief fire alights in the Hammerlock gym leader's eyes, similar to when he battles, though a moment later he regains his composure, and in a slyly joking voice, tells Clara that she is free to think that if she wishes. She'd be wrong, but what else is new? This brutal put-down is too much for Avery, who can't help but laugh. That is until a red-faced Clara throws a rock at the back of his head. In response, Avery throws a clump of mud at his sister, staining her white jacket and causing her fury to grow, with the argument that follows being loud enough to alert every Pokemon in Glenwood Tangle to their presence. Wanting none of their nonsense, Bede tells the siblings as much, reminding the pair of idiots they are hunting for a monster, and thanks to them, it's probably on its way here right now, so unless they want to be crushed into 1,000 tiny pieces by a creature whose habitat they've disturbed twice now, they should be very, very quiet. As intended, this startles Clara and Avery into silence, but when they resume their march, Raihan can't help but think about something B said, and so turning to the gaudy siblings, asks how exactly they encountered this monster, since they didn't mention that before. Sharing a look, Clara says that she and her brother were just walking, minding their own business, when they were attacked by the monster, but the gym leader remains suspicious, confirming they were walking here, not on the beaten path, but right here, in the middle of the jungle, and they were doing it for no reason at all, just minding their own business, as she said. Sweating a bit, Clara tries to nonchalantly reply that it was Avery's fault. He's hopeless with directions, but B retorts that he seems to be doing pretty well as a guide right now. Rounding on Avery, Clara screams that this is all his fault. He should have done a worse job, but with a splutter, the boy in the top hat scowls that how was he supposed to know what lie she was gonna cook up? Eyes flashing, Raihan states that she was lying then, and with a gulp, Avery confirms this, tossing the Dragon Master his Rotom phone and declaring that this was what they were doing. Furiously, Clara hisses at her brother, demanding to know what he thinks he's doing, but Avery firmly asserts that he's decided to do the right thing and tell the truth at last. Smiling, Ash commends this, though his smile shrivels a moment later when Avery explains his reasoning, that being that he's more scared of Raihan as the champ's rival than he is of Clara. Nonetheless, Raihan accepts the gift, turning on the phone and watching a video of Clara trying to choreograph a dance routine for a group of Impidimp and Morgrim. When this fails, she reverts to her crass voice, yelling at the little fairy dark types until suddenly something drops down from the trees, its vast shadow falling over Clara. Through the speakers, everyone hears Avery's whimper as he tries to alert his sister, though when the girl finally takes notice, it is too late, as a large, intimidating-looking creature glares at the pair, before channeling pink energy into its fist and slamming it into the ground with a bellow. The footage after this is almost impossible to decipher, as Avery and Clara scramble over each other to escape, but this hardly matters, as Raihan has seen all he needs to. Raising an eyebrow as if demanding the siblings explain themselves, the gym leader fixes Avery and Clara with a stern look. Though shameless as ever, Clara hollers that this just proves her right. Sure, she might have been lying about why they were here, but they still got attacked. From the side, B hisses once again for her to be quiet, but it is already too late, as they all hear a thump not too far behind them, which they recognize as the arrival as the creature from the video. Spinning round, the group come face to face with a sinister-looking Grimmsnarl, and as it advances on them, Avery and Clara predictably scarper, with Clara yelling that it's every trainer for themselves. Ash and co do not run, however, with the trio standing their ground. In a calming voice, Ash reassures Grimmsnarl that they don't want to hurt its friends, since they get it. It only attacked the siblings because they were being mean to the Imp and Morgrim. Nodding, Bee and Raihan add their own voices to this sentiment, expressing their disgust for what Avery and Clara did, since it seems those two never learn that it's not okay to mess with Pokemon's habitats for clout. By now, Grimmsnarl is almost face to face with the trio, but even still, they do not make any hostile moves, and this is wise, as when Grimmsnarl lunges at them, it is to wrap the friends in a warm hug, grateful they got rid of those loud interlopers. Being pressed against the solid mass of hair that covers Grimmsnarl's body makes Ash laugh, as he urges the Forest Guardian to put them down since it tickles, a request it is happy to grant, giving the group a friendly smile. Returning the gesture, Raihan promises that uninvited guests won't be coming around here anytime soon, since after this latest scare, he imagines Avery and Clara will be putting out a video warding people off this part of the forest. Smiling as well, Bee comments that surprisingly those imbeciles proved to be good for something after all, while Ash says that he's glad they could help keep the forest safe. He then bids Grimmsnarl goodbye, telling it to take good care of its buddies, as he and his friends are going to leave now, since they don't want to cause a disturbance. This causes Grimmsnarl to look on with surprise as the group departs. Such a loving human, who cares more about the well-being of Pokemon than anything else. It's never met anyone like that before, though it does know one thing, that it wants to meet this boy again and see more of his kind heart. Perhaps he could even be the one it's been waiting for. That evening, Ash, Bee and Raihan emerge from the eastern side of Glenwood Tangle onto an uncharted and mountainous area of the region that is almost as wild as the place they just left. Sagely, Raihan suggests if they want to reach Circhester, the best course would be to double back through Stownside and Hammerlock, then take routes 7 and 8 up to the town. Though, being a more straightforward person, Bee disagrees, saying if they just keep walking east, they'll reach Circhester much faster. Frowning, Raihan protests they might also get themselves lost, since there's a reason no one ever comes up here except to take the train to Wyndon. But smiling confidently, Bee tells her friend that he is free to take the long way if he wishes. She will keep pressing forward her way, and take the difficulties this path may present as an opportunity to train herself and her Pokemon. Liking the sound of this, Ash declares that he's going with Bee, and saying that these two knuckleheads won't survive without him, Raihan relents and agrees to come too. Unsurprisingly, the road ahead is both hard and treacherous, with the heroes having to be on high alert as they navigate it, as they go from rocky mountains to frozen tundra. As they knew it would, many obstacles stand in their way, though like Bee said, this is a chance to train, with Primeape's Rage Fist and Grapplock's close combat being invaluable in clearing paths. Even Raihan and Duraludon get in on the training, with all three being much stronger when they arrive in Circhester 2 weeks later. Feeling confident in the proficiency they have gained with Rage Fist, Ash and Primeape are eager to use it in a gym battle, though when they finally make their way to Circhester Stadium, they are met by a strange sight. The building is split down the middle, with one half being painted blue, while the other is painted brown. Curiously, Ash asks what's going on, but Raihan explains the gym leaders are a mother-son duo called Gordy and Melanie, who each specialize in a different type. As a result, their gym is designed to reflect the duality of its leaders' typing, as Gordy is a rock specialist while Melanie uses ice types. Smiling, Bee comments that both these types are weak to fighting, so Primeape will do well in this battle, though Raihan adds that it won't be alone, as the Circhester gym is a double battle, so Ash will have to pick a partner, something the boy nods that he can do. In fact, he already has one in mind. Following a short trip to the Pokemon Center, Ash and his friends finally enter the gym, where they find a battlefield just as divided as the exterior, with half being rock and the other being ice. Standing at the heads of these two terrains are a man and a woman, who Ash surmises are Gordy and Melanie. In unison, the two gym leaders begin reciting a clearly practiced greeting, but this is promptly brought to a halt when Gordy rounds on his mum, asking what she's doing and reminding her that it's his turn to start. Smiling fondly, Melanie replies that she knows that, but she just thought she'd give him a hand so he doesn't get nervous, a claim which elicits a grunt of frustration from the young man as he growls that he's not a little kid anymore. Awkwardly, Raihan asks if they should come back later, but with a petulant air, Gordy says it's fine, they can still fight. In a mildly admonishing tone, Melanie tells her son not to pout, but this just further aggravates the young man, with him yelling at his mother to leave him alone, an action which visibly hurts her. Seeing this, Gordy quickly apologizes, his tough exterior cracking as he says he didn't mean that, though Melanie replies that perhaps it's not all his fault, since she sometimes forgets the man he's grown into. She then suggests rather than orders her son to bring out his Pokemon, and with an appreciative thumbs up, Gordy chooses Colossal, while Melanie brings out her Lapras. The gym leaders then look to their challenger and urge urge him to bring out his Pokemon, with Ash doing so happily. First up is his Primeape as promised, while beside it lands a Pokemon Ash brought back from Oak's lab, Hawlucha. The Luchador Pokemon wastes no time striking a pose, while Primeape does a little shadow boxing to warm up. Despite both being fighting types, these two Pokemon seem like an unlikely pair, as one is so flashy, while the other is more direct to the point where calling it a blunt instrument would be appropriate. Melanie even comments on this, but Ash assures her that he thinks these two will work just fine together, before taking the first move by having Primeape use Rage Fist on Lapras, while Hawlucha is told to use Flying Press on Colossal. At once the two fighting types get to work, with Primeape hurling a volley of Spectral Fists at Lapras, while Hawlucha takes to the air and glides down towards Colossal. Due to being on an ice field, Lapras is easily able to escape by sliding along the ice, a tactic Ash remembers from his time in the Orange Islands, though Colossal is not so lucky, being far too slow and lumbering to avoid Hawlucha's Flying Press. Wanting payback, Gordy as his Pokemon retaliate with Stone Edge, but once again Colossal is too slow, with Hawlucha gracefully dodging then using a super effective high jump kick to strike the cold Pokemon in the face. Meanwhile, Primeape is rapidly growing frustrated with Lapras' evasive maneuvers, as none of its Rage Fists have landed. Seeing this, Ash encourages Primeape to keep going, since sooner or later it'll hit, but with a sweep of her snow-coloured hair, Melanie tells the boy he shouldn't be so sure, as when it comes to battling on ice, no one can beat her. After her impressive opening act, Ash can't deny this, though he also thinks this won't be much of a problem, so long as Primeape stays off the ice. Unfortunately, it is almost like Melanie can read his thoughts, as her next move is to have Lapras use Ice Beam on the rock field so it can keep sliding and close in on Primeape. Churlishly, Gordy grumbles that his mum should stick to her side of the field, but Melanie knows he doesn't really mean this, teasing that she's just cleaning up after him like usual. As this back and forth is occurring, Lapras barrels towards Primeape, and though this should make it easier to hit as Lapras is on a single Ice Beam track now, when Primeape tries to launch a Rage Fist, Lapras simply changes the direction of Ice Beam, and in doing so, changes the track. It is only now that Ash realizes Pokemon are fighting the wrong opponents, since Colossal is slow and sturdy like Primeape, while Lapras' nimble style more closely mirrors Hawlucha. Unfortunately, this revelation comes a bit too late for poor Primeape, as it is slammed into by a nearly 500-pound sea monster and sent flying across the field. Changing tack, Ash tells Hawlucha to go after Lapras, though when he tells Primeape to change targets, the pig monkey either chooses to ignore him or simply doesn't hear over the sound of its own apoplectic rage as it lunges back at the water ice type with a feral scream. Together, the pair of fighters begin pummeling Lapras, with it taking massive damage thanks to its fighting weakness, though this is not as effective as it could be, with Hawlucha and Primeape continually getting in each other's way and occasionally even hitting the other. This comes to a head when after a misplaced punch clocks Hawlucha over the back of the head, the Luchador bird pulls its tag partner aside and pridefully lambasts it for being artless in its fighting style. This only further infuriates the wrathful simian, with it even going so far as to deck Hawlucha across the cheek with a super effective ice punch. The wrestling Pokemon will not take this slight lying down, and so strikes back with a chop to the top of Primeape's head, an act which earns it another retaliatory hit, resulting in the pair forgetting their opponents and beginning to fight each other. From their side of the field, Gordy comments that this is kinda hard to watch, while Melanie asks if her son thinks this is how it feels when challengers watch them bicker. However, before she can get an answer, Ash's voice rings out as he pleads with his two Pokemon to focus on their real opponents. Their loyalty to Ash winning out over their dislike of each other, Primeape and Hawlucha return to the matter at hand, attacking Lapras, with Hawlucha using Flying Press to shatter the transport Pokemon's ice path, stranding it while Primeape batters it with close combat. That is until Gordy and his Colossal enter the fray. Due to its large mass, it has taken Colossal quite a while to reach the other side of the field, but now it's here and eager to help Gordy as he orders it to teach these guys what happens when they pick on his mum. At such close range, the cold Pokemon Stone Edge is able to meet its mark, with Hawlucha taking more damage from these hits than Primeape due to its partial flying typing. Seeing this, Ash's Primeape shield Hawlucha, with the pig monkey using close combat to deal serious damage to the slow-moving Coal Golem. Now the battles are what they always should have been, as Primeape tussles with Colossal, while Hawlucha handles Lapras alone. However, the gym leaders still have one more trick up their sleeve, as with a smile, Melanie asks her son if he'd like to do the combo move with her. Flashing a grin of his own, Gordy says that yeah, he's game, and so on Melanie's command, Lapras uses Surf. At once the battlefield is blanketed in water, striking Hawlucha, Primeape, and Colossal. Due to its typing, Colossal is quad weak to water, with this doing devastating damage, though before Ash can wonder why Melanie did this to her own teammate, the answer becomes apparent as steam begins gushing out of the coal pile on Colossal's back. With this steam comes speed, as in the blink of an eye, Colossal is in front of Primeape, slamming into it with a flare blitz that carries the force of a speeding truck. A second later it does the same to Hawlucha, dropping the flying fighter to its knees. Beaming, Melanie praises that she's very proud of her son, and with a hint of an awkward blush, Gordy promises to end this match just like she taught him. He then calls for one more flare blitz, though Ash is quicker, having Hawlucha grab Primeape and launch into the sky. Up here is the only place Colossal can't touch them, though the same cannot be said for Lapras, who begins firing ice beams into the air. Thankfully, Rage Fist comes in handy here, with the after-image fist batting away the beams and keeping the pair safe. Finally, Ash's duo have found their teamwork, if only it weren't too late. For with each passing second, the two fighters are gliding closer to the ground with the threat of imminent defeat awaits. Being the more stoic of the pair, as well as the one who's taken worse damage, Hawlucha knows that they won't stand a chance against two gym leader Pokemon, though perhaps if it can take out one, then they can still win this. Looking down at Primeape, the wrestling Pokemon gives its partner a look that says, "Don't screw this up," then with a grunt, hurls Primeape onto the ice field, and out of harm's way for the time being. This does unfortunately leave Hawlucha vulnerable to Ice Beam, though this is all part of the plan, as spreading its arms wide, it allows itself to become an ice sculpture, before executing an extra weighty flying press onto Lapras. The force of this impact causes a dust cloud to erupt around them, though when it clears, it comes as a little surprise that both Hawlucha and Lapras are unable to battle. Now it is down to just Primeape and Colossal, both of whom look to be on the verge of fainting. Glaring at each other from opposite sides of the field, the two Pokemon know that this is it, and so as their trainers cry out their final commands, Rage Fist and Flare Blitz, the endgame begins. With its steam engine enhanced speed, Colossal is fast, but Ash and Primeape have been training their hardest to master Rage Fist, with the Pig Monkey throwing multiple hits a second, which creates a spectral barrage made of fists, which clash against the approaching rock fire type Sedimentary Hide. Nonetheless, Colossal's charge remains unabated, with it getting faster and faster as it draws closer, until it is right on top of Primeape. Then, it stops. Looking closely, everyone sees the cause, and it is not the cold Pokemon crushing Primeape as one would expect. Instead, the two Pokemon stand apart by an almost imperceptible distance, the only thing separating them being the half-formed shadowy silhouette of Primeape's fist. Then, as the smoky fist fades away, so does Colossal's will to fight, as with a groan, it falls backwards, ending the match in Ash's favour. Sighing with relief, Ash thanks his Pokemon for their effort, then approaches the dual gym leaders to shake their hands. Both Gordy and Melanie congratulate Ash on a battle well fought, then with matching smiles, they present him with a double-sided badge, which can either be displayed as the Rock Badge or the Ice Badge, depending on which he thinks is more impressive. The gym leaders then each give Ash an intense look, as if demanding he choose right now, but in response, the boy merely laughs that he'll pick later, pocketing the badge and departing the gym with his friends by his side. And that's where we'll leave things. Who will be Ash's next challenger on the road to the Galar League? What plans does the Guardian Grimmsnarl of Glenwood Tangle have in store for our hero? And have Ash and Primeape mastered Rage Fist like Alistair instructed? Or is this only the first step? Find out as the journey continues.